Welcome, traveler. It is good to see you here at the edge of the stars. Before we begin this journey, take a moment to rest your mind. Let the weight of your day drift away like vapor on a cold wind. You have found a place of stories, of secrets, of memories long buried in the dust of forgotten worlds. And if you find peace in unraveling ancient truths, then you are exactly where you need to be. Let your breathing slow. Let the silence settle. And if this story touches something within you, I gently invite you to continue the journey by subscribing. For many paths lie ahead. Now listen closely. It begins in a time so distant, even the Force itself had not yet chosen sides. A time when the stars were fewer and their light colder. A time before Jedi, before Republic, before war. In that shadowed dawn of the galaxy, there walked beings who did not seek peace or wisdom. They sought dominion, control, immortality. Their hearts burned with hunger, and in that hunger they touched the dark currents of the Force and gave it a new name. The Sith. The legend says it began with one, a single exile who fled the light and found a world wrapped in red sand and silence. Korriban. The whispers speak of his eyes glowing in the dark, of his voice singing to the shadows, of a promise made to something deeper than life. But his name was stripped from time itself. Even the holocrons fall silent when they reach his chapter. What is remembered are those who followed, lords of terror, masters of pain, betrayers, prophets, warlords, kings. From Ajunta Pall to Darth Sidious, from the tombs of Malachor to the throne of Exegol, their stories echo like ghost fire across 1,000 lifetimes. But not all names have been spoken, not all truths have been unearthed. There is a fragment, a record found deep within a broken vault on a derelict station lost between galaxies. It is damaged, corrupted, its message repeating like a dying breath. One sentence, "He was not the first, he will not be the last." And then a second voice, weaker, nearly gone, speaks only one word, the name of a Sith Lord who does not appear in any archive, a name erased by design. The droid that found it was later discovered, shattered in a sealed Jedi chamber. No one knows how it got there. No one knows what it saw. That is where our story begins. With a whisper, a riddle, a wound in the galaxy's memory. You came here to sleep. But first, let us remember. Let us walk the path carved in darkness, the complete rise and fall of every Sith Lord. Not as they wished to be remembered, but as they truly were. There is a world far from the bright lanes of trade and politics. It is not marked on modern star charts. Its name has been lost, deliberately, forgotten, left behind like a burned page in the library of time. But the old ones knew it, before the Jedi, before the Sith. They called it Oratel, the hollow moon, a dead rock drifting in endless shadow, circling a dying star. Here, in the cracks of its crust, lies the great archive, cold and silent, an ancient vault sealed by languages no longer spoken. It is here that you arrive. Your ship lands without sound, its systems muted by the magnetic hush of the hollow atmosphere. As you step into the dust, you feel it. Not a breeze, not a voice, but a presence, something unseen watching from beneath the surface, something old. The corridors inside are narrow, their walls carved with forgotten alphabets and patterns so ancient they seem more like scars than writing. Lights flicker, but never fully illuminate the space. Time has no meaning here. You are not alone. A figure waits for you in the atrium of the vault. She is blind, her eyes covered in silken cloth. She wears robes older than the Republic, woven with symbols from before the hyperspace wars. Her name is Isara. She does not speak often, but when she does, her words tremble with gravity. She introduces herself as the Keeper, the last to remember, the last to guard what others chose to forget. Floating beside her is a small droid, barely functional. Its casing is scorched, wires exposed like veins, its voice clipped and brittle. It calls itself Rec 9. Once a Jedi research unit, it was reprogrammed by unknown hands and left here to rot. Yet something inside its memory bank survived the corruption. Glimpses of Sith Lords erased from holocrons. Places no longer accessible by known coordinates. And one voice, always repeating the same question. Who came before the first? You came here seeking answers, but even that is not entirely true. Something drew you, a feeling in the Force, a quiet pull in your dreams. You saw faces you could not name, heard words that never passed through your ears. And in your sleep, you stood before a door that could not open. Until now. Isara leads you deeper into the vault, past shattered databanks and unpowered holotables, past the bones of those who came searching for truth and found only silence. The air thickens, the ground hums softly beneath your feet. At last, you arrive at a circular chamber lined with fragments of history. Statues broken in rage, masks shattered into ash, names etched in blood and stone. On the far wall is a gateway. Not a door in the ordinary sense. It is an arc of metal and obsidian humming faintly, as if remembering its purpose. Above it, a phrase in Old Sith. The droid translates slowly. Only those who forget the light may see beyond the dark. Before you stands the path, but Isara speaks once more. Her voice low, as if afraid the stone itself might hear her. She tells you there was once another who walked this road, a scholar, much like you. He passed through the gate and was never seen again. But something returned, a sound, a shadow, a scar in the Force that even the Jedi could not heal. They tried to erase his name, as they had with so many others. But the vault remembers, and it waits. You feel the weight of the journey ahead settle over your shoulders like a heavy cloak. The story is not written, it must be uncovered. The Sith are not myths, they are not gone, they are echoes, and echoes can still reach through time. You take a breath. The vault watches, the darkness listens, and you step forward. Of course, here's the next section of your cinematic sleep story, continuing directly from the last moment without headings or distractions, keeping the tone immersive, mysterious, and sleep-inducing. The air shifts as you pass through the ancient archway. There is no sudden sound, no blinding light, only the soft change of atmosphere, like stepping from one memory into another. The walls ahead glow faintly with unseen energy, pulsing gently as if recognizing your presence. Each step echoes like a question. The floor beneath your feet is worn by countless visitors, but no footprints remain, only silence. Rec 9 hovers beside you, its flickering eyes scanning the engraved patterns on the walls. They tell stories without beginning or end. Great figures in flowing armor, wielding crimson blades. Cities suspended in space, crumbling under. Unseen forces, eyes without faces watching from between the stars. None are labeled, none are explained. You stop before a column covered in symbols both familiar and foreign. Isara runs her hand across it, speaking softly, almost reverently. She tells you this is where the Sith began to divide, where warriors became lords, where hunger replaced belief. The Sith were once many, she says, each with their own path to power. But they could not coexist. They devoured one another, and in doing so, lost their origin. A chamber opens ahead, round and hollow. At its center rests a single object, a holocron. Its shape is irregular, its corners dulled by age. It does not open when you approach. It vibrates with something deeper than technology, something old and unwilling. Re-K9 attempts to interface, but its systems short out. The droid recoils, muttering fragments of corrupted language. It speaks a name you do not recognize, a title lost to time. Darth Nihilum. No record confirms such a being. No Jedi source names him. Yet the holocron reacts when the name is spoken. Suddenly the chamber flickers, not with light, but with memory. A vision intrudes, a battlefield without stars. Warriors in red and black armor clash under skies of swirling fire. One figure stands alone, untouched, silent. His eyes are endless voids. As he raises his hand, the battle stops, not in surrender, but in stillness, as if time itself has been denied. The vision fades. You are left breathless. Isara steadies you. Her voice is calm, though her face is pale. She says this is only the beginning. You have touched something buried beneath every record, every tale, every lie. You ask if this Darth Nihilum was real. She does not answer. Instead, she leads you onward into deeper dark. The corridor narrows as you descend. The walls seem closer. Now the air denser, charged with something that stirs your skin. Ahead, a faint violet glow leaks from cracks in the stone. As you approach, you find a chamber lined with statues, each cloaked in shadow. Their faces are hidden beneath heavy hoods, but their posture speaks of command. These are the first Sith lords, not of legend but of record. Their names are scratched into the stone in languages few remember: Ajunta Pal, Tulak Hord, Karnes, Muir. The founders, the exiles, the ones who gave structure to rage and purpose to vengeance. Rec 9 begins to hum softly. The droid scans one of the statues and projects a flickering image. A battlefield where Ajunta Pal walks alone through a sea of broken bodies, blade humming with heat. His eyes are distant, not with sorrow, but with calculation. Beside him, a follower begs for mercy. Pal says nothing. With a motion of the hand, the follower crumbles to ash. The image cuts out. The droid falls silent. You walk deeper into the chamber and find a wall of shattered holocrons, shards of memory. Voices trapped in crystal. Some speak of lost temples, others of battles that never made it into Jedi records. One shard glows faintly in your hand. A voice begins to speak, but the message cuts off. It mentions a betrayal within, the Sith ranks, a plot to destroy one of their own. The voice trembles not with fear, but awe. Then something shifts. A gust of cold air sweeps through the chamber. You turn and find a mural behind the statues, partially buried under stone and dust. You begin to brush it clean. The image is of a figure standing at the edge of a cliff, arms raised to a red sky. Behind them, other Sith kneel, their faces turned. Away, the figure is unnamed, their face scratched out by time, but beneath the image, faint words remain. He spoke the name that shattered the Brotherhood. You ask Isara what the name was. She does not respond, but the mural vibrates faintly under your hand. And far above, in the vault you left behind, a door that had never moved begins to open. The next chamber is colder. The floor is lined with smooth obsidian tiles, each etched with symbols that flicker faintly beneath your steps. You and Isara move in silence while REK-9 scans the air, its sensors twitching. The silence here feels different, not peaceful, but expectant, like the breath before a sentence is spoken. You arrive before a pedestal where an ancient recording activates without warning. A Sith Lord appears, tall and composed, with a face half hidden by a ceremonial mask. His voice is steady as he speaks of balance, control, and the importance of unity among the Sith. He claims the war between lords weakens them. He proposes a new rule, two alone, one to embody power, one to crave it. His name is Darth Bane. The recording ends, and for a moment it feels like clarity has been found. Isara nods solemnly, as though confirming the final shape of the Sith legacy. REK-9 plays back segments from multiple sources, piecing together the rise of the Rule of Two. Darth Zana, Bane's apprentice, continuing the line. A secretive evolution of the Sith into silence and shadow. But something troubles you. The deeper you study the fragments, the more inconsistencies you find. Names that appear once and never again. Gaps in the timeline. Images of Sith who do not match any known records. One figure appears in several corrupted files, always watching, never speaking. His presence is a constant, his identity withheld. You begin to wonder if Bane's vision was ever fully realized, if the line was truly as unbroken as the archives claim. Isara grows quiet. She admits she once believed the Rule of Two was the final truth, but the vault has shown her otherwise. Power did not flow through a narrow path. It bled through cracks in the foundation. She places a fragment of stone into your hand. It is carved with a symbol that belongs to no known Sith order. Beneath it is a name you do not recognize. You speak it aloud, and the chamber trembles slightly, as though something beneath the temple had been listening. For the first time since you arrived, the droid withdraws. Its eye flickers and dims. You look to Isara, but she says nothing. You are not sure what you have uncovered, but something has heard you. The path ahead opens into a vast corridor carved deep beneath the surface. The walls are lined with black stone, veins of red light pulsing faintly through their cracks like the slow heartbeat of the planet itself. The silence here is heavier, like something ancient is pressing down from above. As you step forward, the light behind you dims. There is no turning back now. Isara leads you toward a sealed chamber, its entrance marked by two broken statues. Their faces are different from the Sith you have seen, not warlords, not conquerors. Their robes are ceremonial, their hands clasped as if in prayer. You ask who they were, and she answers with a name so old it feels like it does not belong in any language. They were not Sith, as the galaxy remembers. They were something earlier. A forgotten root buried deep beneath the tree of power. Inside the chamber, the air is still and dry. Stone coffins line the walls, each marked with a spiral sigil. At the center, lies a table shaped from a single piece of obsidian. On it, a device waits. Its shape is unfamiliar, its surface covered in delicate wiring and fragments of crystal. Rec 9 scans it, but offers no result. Isara calls it a vessel of memory. Not a holocron, not a recording, but something older. It stores not just knowledge, but presence. When your hand brushes the edge, your breath catches. A flood of vision overtakes you. You see figures cloaked in gold and grey, standing before a council of robed beings with glowing eyes. There is tension in their stances, fear masked as wisdom. The cloaked ones speak of a child born with a voice that bends the force itself, a voice that can command obedience without words. One council member breaks rank, demanding the child be protected. The others vote in silence. The chamber darkens. The decision is made. The vision fades. You are back in the tomb. Isara steadies you. She has seen glimpses of this memory before. A secret bloodline shaped and hidden across centuries. A line that led to more than one Sith Lord, though none were ever told the truth of their origin. Rec-9 begins to tremble. Its systems glitch as it plays an overlapping message. It is old, distorted, but the voice is clear enough to make your skin rise. We were not born of darkness. We were made for it. The tomb falls silent again. In that silence, something shifts. A feeling like the world itself is listening, and you realize the Sith were not simply born from rebellion or hunger. They were shaped by design. The corridor beyond the tomb feels colder than before, though no wind stirs the air. The light from your path glows dimly, as if reluctant to follow. You walk in silence beside Isara, the memory of the vision still pressing behind your eyes. The deeper you go, the more the vault begins to shift. The stonework changes. Older, rougher, less like architecture and more like something grown over time, as though this part of the structure was not built, but revealed. At the end of the hall, a doorway opens into a chamber shaped like a circle, its walls covered in symbols carved into layers of ancient alloy. In the center stands a large sphere, suspended in the air, rotating slowly, its surface inscribed with names that fade and reappear. You recognize some. Darth Revan, Darth Trier. Others are less familiar. Darth Kydros, Darth Maligin, Darth Solace. Names the archives never kept. Rec-9 approaches the sphere and sends a pulse of energy through its core. The room responds with a wave of memory, and in your mind, you are no longer in the chamber. You stand in a desert of glass, the sky burning, orange with distant fire. A figure moves through the heat, alone, their body wrapped in black and silver. As they walk, the glass beneath their feet cracks and shifts. They stop beside a broken temple. Inside waits another figure, kneeling, their face hidden. The two do not speak, yet the tension between them is alive. The kneeling figure rises slowly. A duel begins, not with anger, but with finality. Not a battle for power, but a reckoning. The vision ends the moment the victor's blade touches the other's chest. Their mask falls away, and in that instant you see a face that has appeared in several visions, a face that should not belong to a single time or place. You stagger back. Isara catches your arm. Her voice is soft as she speaks. Some Sith were destroyed. Others faded into myth. But there were those who transcended even that. Lords who did not fall or die. Lords who split themselves across time, whose essence lingered in more than memory. The vault reveals a single message, etched deep into the wall behind the sphere. It is written in several languages as though desperate to be understood. He walks still, but not always in the same skin. You step back from the chamber, heart quiet but heavy. For the first time, the darkness does not feel distant, it feels near. The passage ahead slopes downward, curving gently into the earth like a spiral. The walls grow darker, their markings fewer, until there is almost nothing left to read. It feels as if this place is descending not only into the ground, but into the heart of something buried and long forgotten. The silence here is no longer empty. It is thick. Listening. You enter a vast chamber without doors. Its ceiling vanishes into shadow. A single structure rises at the center, shaped like an altar, though it bears no symbol of worship. Instead, it holds fragments of shattered holocrons layered like broken glass. Isara approaches slowly, her fingers brushing one of the shards. It flares to life. A voice speaks, distant but clear. It speaks of a lineage hidden from both Sith and Jedi. A thread woven through generations, never declared, never claimed. A line shaped by whispers in the Force. Re-K9 scans the fragments, its voice tight as it deciphers overlapping records. Names of Jedi who vanished. Names of senators whose minds changed overnight. Patterns begin to form. Events that once seemed disconnected now align with precision. Wars ignited without cause. Treaties broken before they were signed. Someone was guiding the galaxy, not from a throne but from behind the veil, not to rule but to prepare. You listen as one fragment speaks of Darth Plagueis, not as a master of death but as the caretaker of a larger design. His experiments were not about immortality but about influence, shaping bloodlines, altering destiny. And behind him, someone older, someone who began the work and let others take credit. A shadow not remembered, only felt. Isara's voice is quiet as she shares what little she knows. The Sith did not rise and fall in a single line. They moved through the galaxy like a virus, attaching themselves to those with potential, guiding them, discarding them. At times, they wore the mask of Jedi. At times, they were no more than a whisper in the mind of a senator or soldier. You step closer to the altar and find one final fragment glowing faintly. You reach for it. The voice that speaks is unlike the others. It does not announce its name. It does not tell a story. It asks a question. Do you think you found this place by accident? The glow fades, and something deep in the chamber exhales. The silence that follows feels different now. Not empty, not waiting, but aware, as if the vault itself has acknowledged your presence. You move slowly through the next corridor, its walls lined with metallic vines that pulse faintly with energy. They respond to your steps, illuminating your path with a soft light. This place was not meant for many. It was built for those who ask questions others fear to hear. At the end of the corridor, you enter a chamber shaped like an eye. Shelves curve around you, filled with objects that no longer belong to any one time. Cracked holocrons, faded scrolls, fragments of armor that once bore the mark of Jedi and Sith alike. In the center, a circular platform glows faintly, waiting. Isara steps forward and lifts a small holocron from the shelf. It responds to her touch with warmth. A voice begins to speak, one that carries weight, but not menace. It tells a story of a Jedi who uncovered knowledge forbidden even to the Council. A prophecy not about a chosen one, but about a fracture in the Force. A point of collapse created not by war, but by forgetting. The Jedi who discovered it vanished. His name was erased from every record. REK-9 activates several more holocrons. Each tells a different story. One of a Sith who turned away from darkness after hearing a voice in the unknown regions. One of a senator who claimed to be guided by visions of an empire that had not yet risen. One of a child who could influence memory without speaking. The stories do not align, yet they circle the same idea. You sit upon the edge of the platform and listen. Isara joins you, her voice soft. She speaks of ancient texts that speak not only of the Sith and Jedi, but of something older, a wound in the Force that bleeds across time. The Sith were drawn to it. The Jedi fled from it, and all who touched it were changed. She asks what you believe now, whether power can exist without distortion, whether memory can survive without becoming myth. You have no answer, but you know this place has changed you. You close your eyes. The voices of the past swirl around you, and in the quiet between their words, you feel something watching. Not with eyes, with intent. The final passage is narrow, carved from a darker stone than any you have seen. The walls here bear no markings, no history. They seem untouched, as if what waits beyond has not been disturbed in countless lifetimes. You and Isara walk in silence. REK-9 follows, but its lights are dim. Even the droid seems to feel the weight of this place. You arrive at a chamber unlike the others. It is wide and empty, with a floor of polished black glass that reflects the ceiling above. That ceiling is not made of stone, but of light. Moving constellations drift across it, forming shapes that do not match any known star maps. It feels like standing inside a memory of the galaxy itself. In the center of the chamber is a pedestal. Resting on it is an object wrapped in cloth, old and fraying, yet untouched by time. Isara steps forward and removes the covering. Beneath it lies
a mask. Its surface is smooth, featureless, silver. It reflects only the darkness around it.
She lifts it gently and places it before you. The mask belonged to no Sith Lord you have studied. No record contains its shape. And yet, as you look upon it, you feel the presence behind so many of the stories you have heard. The unknown name, the guiding hand, the voice that asks questions without answers. It was never about one Sith. It was about a thread moving through them all, an idea that could wear any face. A recording activates without being touched. The voice that speaks is calm and even. It tells you of Darth Sidious, of the rise and fall of empires, of betrayal, of clones, of the last moments of Jedi Masters, who never saw it coming. It tells of the Sith Eternal, of cults hidden beneath ruined worlds, of a design that began long before the Republic and continued even after its collapse. Then the voice says something that makes your breath catch. He did not create the plan. He fulfilled it. Isara looks at you. Her expression is no longer uncertain. She has known this truth longer than she wished to admit. The Sith were never bound to names or empires. They were a storm moving beneath the galaxy, waiting, shaping, returning in different forms. and as the voice fades, it speaks one final phrase. A whisper, lost in time, became a storm across eternity. You remain still in the
heart of the chamber, the silver mask resting silently between you and the past. The air has changed.
not colder, not warmer, but heavier, as though every name and secret whispered through this vault has settled onto your shoulders. Isara walks slowly around the edge of the room, her fingers trailing the black glass. She does not speak. She does.
Not need to. The silence here is no longer empty. It is truth. Rec-9 hums faintly, its voice fragmented but persistent. It plays back phrases from earlier chambers, piecing them together like scattered fragments of a dream. Names, visions, prophecies,
Questions. They all converge on the same thought. There was one behind the veil, one who moved between names, who wore different faces, not a Sith Lord remembered in fear, but one hidden beneath the stories of others. He never took a title. He never claimed a throne. He shaped those who did. The chamber responds. A low vibration
runs through the floor as a second layer of the vault reveals itself. The walls shift. Panels retract, revealing carvings that were hidden until now.
The symbols are older than any you have seen. They do not speak in words, but in patterns, movements, echoes, a record not written for eyes, but for instinct. You do not read it, you feel it. A single line appears at the center of the floor. You walk to it. It leads to a raised platform, circular and small. As you step onto it, your vision shifts. The galaxy unfolds around you, not as it is, but as it has been shaped. Each war, each fall, each victory. You see the Jedi rise and fracture. You see the Sith vanish and return. You see peace bought with lies. You see fear sold as order. And then you see him, not as a man, not as a shadow, but as a ripple moving through time, present in whispers, present in the silence between moments, never standing in the light, always just beyond the edge of knowing. Isara's voice reaches you softly. The third truth has been revealed. The Sith are not gone. The storm never ends. It only changes shape. The galaxy is not free. It is only quiet for now. The vault is still now. The lights that once pulsed gently along the walls have dimmed to a soft glow, like embers after a long fire. You and Isara stand together at the threshold of the final hall, where the echoes fade and memory settles into silence. Behind you lies a trail of names, stories, and truths buried for centuries. Ahead, only quiet. You walk once more through the corridors, retracing your steps. Yet they do not feel the same. The weight of what you have seen lingers in the air. The Sith were not a single order or a line of masters and apprentices. They were a pattern, a rhythm in the Force that returns when the galaxy forgets to listen. The great archive grows smaller behind you. Its towering walls sink into shadow. The stars above are faint and distant, resting in velvet darkness. You look to them now not with wonder, but with understanding. They have watched it all, the rise, the fall, the silence between. Isara stands beside you, her eyes still veiled, but her presence steady. She says nothing. There are no more lessons. To speak aloud, only the quiet bond between those who have seen the hidden shape of things. Rec-9 floats nearby, dim but functional, its memory now richer than any databank. You board your ship. The engines hum softly, As you leave the surface of the hollow moon, from above, the world looks empty, peaceful, as if it never held secrets, but you know better. Beneath that surface, the storm still sleeps. The story is never truly over. In the dark of space, the stars drift past like silent witnesses. You sit quietly, eyes half closed, as the journey fades behind you. What you carry now is not fear, but clarity. The Force has no single voice. It sings in harmony and discord, in shadow and light. And somewhere, far from this moment, another whisper is beginning. A name is being spoken for the first time, or perhaps for the last. Sleep now. The galaxy turns, and the echo continues.